This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the one, the only, Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
And we are back. Well, I can say we are back because we did this last week. So, we talked about baseball last week. We did like a one topic for you guys, talked about the McCutchen trade that went through. You guys liked it, so we're going to do it yet again, kind of another trial run to get ready for the MLB season, because this is probably something that we're going to do. However, we got a surprise for you. Not just one this week, two this week. So we're going to be talking about Yu Darvish in this video. Make sure to check out the other video that'll be posted on the channel. We're also going to be talking about JD Martinez and the Boston Red Sox, and could Martinez be signing with Boston? So you got two for you this week. And Brandon, what we're looking at in this video is Yu Darvish and the Brewers. The Brewers, according to sources in Japan, have offered Yu Darvish a contract. However, no amount has been made public. So they offer a contract that now adds to the teams. The Cubs, the Rangers, the Yankees, the Twins, the Astros, and even the Dodgers are all now in the sweepstakes for Yu Darvish. The Dodgers, they would be re-signing him because he was on the team last year for their World Series run. I want to ask you, just to start things off, is Yu Darvish worth the Brewers' money? Should they even be getting into a Yu Darvish sweepstakes?
No, they should not be. They should not be. And maybe the hard thing is that Yu Darvish may be the best pitcher on the market currently right now. But after he left Texas to go to the Dodgers via trade, his first 3 games, he looked pretty darn good. He struck out 10 in his first game, 10 in his second game, only 2 in his third start with the Dodgers against the Chicago White Sox. But since they played the White Sox, they were still able to win 5-4. But then he lost his next 3 games. And he gave up 3 runs, then 5 runs, then 5 runs. And then he went 2-1 in his last 3. But the most important thing for me when I look at Yu Darvish is when it's on the line for the Dodgers in the postseason, in the World Series against Houston in 2 games. He went an inning and 2/3. On October 27th, he went an inning and 2/3, gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, a home run, 1 walk, no strikeouts. And then again, Game 7 against Houston. An inning and 2/3, 3 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, a home run, a walk, and no strikeouts. He stunk. He was terrible. And this is a guy who you want to give a 6-year, $160 at least some $1 million contract to? I think I could find better. I think I could find better, because I was a big fan of Yu Darvish. When he first came to Texas, he was very good. I mean, do you remember his 277 strikeout season?
Yep.
I mean, the kid was great. He was outstanding. But then, remember his surgery that he had in, 2015?
I think so.
He comes back from that, and he just wasn't the same. He was not the same. And then when he went to the Dodgers, and when he went to the National League, the league that I thought, you're coming from the American League, where I think it's a tough league. They're both tough leagues, but the American League, where I think it's going to be tougher for a pitcher. You go to the National League, switching from American to National League, I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to own this league. He's going to be striking them out left and right. For 2 games, he did. And then it just kind of went downhill for him, and he did not have a strong performance, especially in the month of September. And definitely not in the postseason.
There are really, to me, 3 teams that make the most sense for Yu Darvish, and the Brewers aren't one of them. The thing I think here is this is overreaction from the Milwaukee Brewers, because remember when the offseason started, who was the big pitcher that they were rumored to be going after? He pitched on the north side here in Chicago.
Oh, the Brewers? The Brewers were going after? Wasn't it...
Jakey.
Yeah, Arrieta.
Jakey Arrieta. However, everything cooled down with that because, let's be completely honest, no one knows if Jake Arrieta is really going to be worth a big contract based off of he had a really hot season when we won the World Series. He had a hot season before we won the World Series. This past year wasn't that hot. So to me, I look at this as the Brewers saying, you know what, we need an arm. We need an arm. We need a high-end starting arm. Let's throw money at Yu Darvish. However, I think it would be a mistake for the Brewers, and I'm not just saying that as a Cub fan. To me, there are three teams that Yu Darvish would be the best at. And I'm not saying he deserves a big contract. I'm just saying be the best at. The number one team would be my Cubs. The only reason why I say that is Hendricks, Lester, Quintana, he can be a fourth starter. As a fourth, fifth guy, he'd be the fourth here. Fine. I'm fine with that. Plus, when you get to the Cubs, it's not necessarily how you do during the regular season. It's how you're going to do in the playoffs for me. The second one would be the Astros. Same situation. Verlander, Garrett Cole, Dallas Keuchel. Not in that order, but you get it. He'd be the fourth starter as well. Then the third one would be the New York Yankees. You have Sonny Gray. You have Tanaka. You have Severino. Said that name wrong. Severino. And then you also have CeCe. So he could even be the fourth, fifth starter in a New York. New York might be maybe the best one. However, the Dodgers are still there. He'd be the fourth starter, maybe even fifth with Maeda. It's him and Maeda would be either 4 or 5. All of those choices are better than the Brewers because with the Brewers, if Yu Darvish signs there, I look at their starting rotation right now, he's the number one starter. He is the number one starter for the Brewers, and you don't want that if you're the Milwaukee Brewers because Milwaukee is not in a position to be in a playoff run. All the other teams make sense because they'd be in a playoff run. More importantly, the Dodgers and the Cubs are the teams I would choose if I was Yu Darvish because, yet again, when it comes to you, I'm only looking at the playoff games because on those two teams as a fourth starter, I'm only looking for what you could do in the playoffs. Look at the Cubs. Our fourth starter was John Lackey. John Lackey was not that great this past year for us, so that's the reason why we're in the market for a fourth starter. Maybe Arrieta's that guy who comes back and gives us 4 starters.
Well,
but just last thing I want to mention, you mentioned the 2 games in the playoffs against Houston. What about the 2 games before that? He pitched one against Arizona, where in 5 innings gets the win, only gives up 1 run, and then the Cubs go 6 1/3, only gives up 1 run in that game. The thing that I looked at just when it was the playoffs for Yu Darvish, against the National League in the playoffs, phenomenal. As soon as he went against American League bats like the Astros, he was horrible. That's why for you, I would avoid the Astros, avoid the Yankees, even though they would be better than the Brewers to sign with, and stick to the Cubs or the Dodgers because then you could be the fourth starter and be in a similar situation that you were here. Hey, we need you to pitch a game against the National League, which he could do well against in the playoffs.
So, okay, a lot of things to kind of talk to some of your points and make a couple of my own. So, to first talk about the point that you made when it was in the postseason and he pitched against the Astros, an American League team, and sucked. He sucked.
Yeah.
An inning and 2/3
2
in
times.
both of those games. Both of those. I mean, you couldn't even make it to 3. I mean, 3 still stinks, but you couldn't even make it to 3. But 3 for a playoff game, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. You're at least keeping your guys in there, letting the bullpen not have to come in as early, especially in the last one. You're in Game 7. That bullpen is taxed. You guys have been working for however many straight days in a row, whatever it is. And you can only go an inning and 2/3. That sucks. Ricky, what were you going to say?
Well, the only thing I was going to mention is that, one, yes, the Game 7 was the bullpen was taxed, but A, the Dodgers had confidence in that bullpen, and number 2, usually in the playoffs, managers usually have shorter leashes to where it's like you even see Joe Madden where it's like, well, fuck it, you're done. We're putting in the bullpen because you give up 3 runs and the game could be over.
Oh, you do. I mean, you absolutely do. But, I mean, you want to try even still 2 innings.
Yep.
3 innings, something like that. But when you look at Yu Darvish and what he did when he was in the National League, he lost to the Brewers, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. Okay, that's not terrible. He lost at San Diego, 3 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs. That's not good. He lost against Colorado, 4 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs. That's not good. Then he lost to Philly, 6-2, 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 unearned run, a walk and 7 strikeouts. Not really his fault. Can't put it on him. But he's still not a guy, not at this point, not after his surgery. You can see he started to go. He's just started to decline. He just started to decline. There's too much in this, too much hype in Yu Darvish because of his name and what he's done in the past. What have you done for me lately? You sucked in a playoff game. That's what you did for me lately. So that's where I look at Yu Darvish. And when I look at the market, and I look at the other guys that are on the market, I think Jake Arrieta would be a better fit than Yu Darvish would be
For the Brewers.
For anybody.
Yeah, but I'm just asking because like the Brewers
But certainly for our topic that we're talking about right now, Jake Arrieta, Lance Lynn, Alex Cobb. I mean, I would take any of those guys over Yu Darvish. And for the Brewers, if they're trying to make a splash and offer him this big contract because Jimmy Nelson's hurt, that is ridiculous because they have Chase Anderson, who was really good last year. They had Zach Davies, who was great last year. They now have Jhoulys Chacin coming over from San Diego. He was 13-10 last year. Not terrible, not great. They have Giovanni Gallardo. He sucks. I don't know why he's on the roster. He's terrible. He is washed up. He was awesome for years. He is not good now. They need to boot him out. But if they're looking for a guy to be their 4th starter, look elsewhere. Look for an Arrieta. Look for a Lance Lynn. Look for one of those guys. You don't need to make that big splash with Darvish. You may have the money, and the Brewers do. They have a lot of money to work with. But they should not be so impulsive and try and just go after the best, quote-unquote, best pitcher on the free agent market just to make a splash and get a name. I think that is ridiculous, especially for the Milwaukee Brewers. Let someone like the Dodgers go and do that. Let the Dodgers do that. Let some other team make that splash. Because I think at the end of the day, Milwaukee, you are doing yourself a favor if you don't go after Yu Darvish.
Well, here's the thing with Milwaukee, and this is the only reason why I'm trying to understand the offer for Yu Darvish is last year, Milwaukee, you got to be sitting there, and they've got to be probably thinking, okay, we had the Cubs in our sights. We didn't get the division. We ended 6 games back because the Cubs ended up winning it late. However, when it came to the wild card, we were 1 game out. We win 1 more game. We force a 1-game playoff with the Rockies. So I could see in their minds, they're thinking, if we just get a guy like Yu Darvish to hopefully win us a couple more games, that could be better than our 5th starter to hopefully get us in the wild card. Now, does it work out that way? No, but I'm trying to put myself in the seat there in the front office to know what they're trying to do, to try to figure out why they're doing it. It's because they were so close to the playoffs last year.
But they don't need Yu Darvish for that,
No,
is what I'm saying. They don't need Yu Darvish to do that. They don't need to overpay on a guy who is mediocre at best right now, in my opinion. This is not a guy who's going to take you over the top, that's going to get you over the top. The guy who was going to get you over the top, if you're Milwaukee, how about you try and trade for Chris Archer? How about you throw some prospects at Tampa Bay and say, you guys aren't very good, so how about you give us Chris Archer? We'll give you some good prospects. I'm not terribly familiar with Milwaukee's farm system right now, but I think that if you're able to throw some prospects the way of a team like the Tampa Bay Rays and get a guy like Chris Archer. Now that guy who is in his prime, who is a solid guy. I mean, he's had his bad games, but every good pitcher does. And I think that he is much more consistent, and I think he's got better stuff, and I think he's got a better long-term outlook than Yu Darvish does. And I understand that now we're not talking free agent anymore. We're talking about going and doing a trade, making a trade. But I think if I'm Milwaukee, that makes more sense. That makes more sense to go and do that and get a guy who's actually going to be able to be on this team for a while. And instead of throwing all this money in these years at Yu Darvish, when he may last 2, get injured, who knows what happens, not be that quality guy. I just don't think, I'm saying all this, he's going to bounce back, be like 17-9. But I think that, I just think that there's better options. There's better options for the Brewers. There's better options for the Brewers in terms of talent. There's better options for the Brewers in terms of fiscally responsible. I think that if they went after a guy, were able to save on some of that money, they don't have to spend it all in one sitting with one guy. They have then money available for any trades that they're going to do at the deadline, for any possible other moves that they want to make here in free agency before the season gets started. They need to be smart. The Brewers need to be smart about this. They're a team that's on the cusp of being that playoff team. And I don't think that you need to do and to do the spending and throw the money at a guy like Yu Darvish, who I don't think you need to get you to the next level. Because like I said, a Chase Anderson, if you can get his performance that he had last year, or maybe a little bit better, if you can repeat what Zach Davies did last year, if you can get Chacin to get a couple more wins, knock down the losses a little bit, then you add in, like I said, an Arrieta, a Lynn. That's the type of guy I think you need. I don't think you need to throw huge money at a guy like Yu Darvish.
My question being to you, so I got a couple articles I pulled up here. First one is from CBS Chicago. As Cubs seek free agent pitcher, Alex Cobb seems to be the best fit. If you're the Brewers and Cobb looks like, okay, it looks like he's going to go to the Cubs, would you feel inclined and would you think it could be a smart decision to, because to me, if Cobb is a guy where it's like, okay, I'm thinking about going to the Cubs heavily, the only thing that you're going to be able to do to sway him away is throw him more money than the Cubs would be able to throw at him. Do you think that if they overpaid for Cobb, would it be a bad decision?
No.
If they threw a ton of money at Cobb just so that he didn't go to the Cubs and he signed with them?
No.
Probably more than he's worth, though.
No, it wouldn't be a bad decision, because you want to know why? It's still going to be less than what you would be throwing at Yu Darvish. And you want to know why? Because Alex Cobb is probably not at the same level as Yu Darvish.
Yeah.
Probably not. And someone's going to say, but Brandon, you said Yu Darvish is mediocre at best. What are you saying about Alex Cobb? Well, maybe I was a little excited when I said that. Yu Darvish is a fair pitcher. I just don't think that he is what the Brewers necessarily need. And I think Alex Cobb, if you're looking for a 4 guy, Alex Cobb, I think, is a perfect 3-4 guy for you in your rotation. You do not have to pay as much money for Alex Cobb as you would for Yu Darvish. And Cobb is going to be a pitcher who is going to come in. He's going to get you 10, 11 wins. And I think that that's something that the Brewers would need. Even that would be better than what else they have right now. That's healthy.
And then two of the last things I was going to bring up is another article I'm looking at, Lance Lynn drawing interest from 4 teams, Twins, Angels, Orioles, and Brewers. However, there's a heavy contingency that are saying that he fits best in Minnesota with the Twinkies out of those 4 teams. And then an interesting one that I was looking at is MLB.com asked the question of, it could be, or they're saying it could be likely that Lynn and Cobb wait for you and Arrieta to sign before they make decisions, which would throw, like, if you're a team like the Brewers that wants to get one of these guys and Lynn and Cobb are like, no, I'm going to wait for you and Arrieta, that kind of puts you in a bind, because it's like, great, I don't want to bank on getting one of these guys because I have to wait for the top 2 guys to sign.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think if I'm the Brewers, well, they've made the offer, supposedly 5 years, and I don't know how much. But I think that, again, I think that they would be smarter if they went in a different direction than Yu Darvish, and if they went for the Alex Cobb, the Lance Lynn. I don't think that, again, I don't think they need that splash, and it makes no sense to me to go and try and pay a ton of money to try and get Yu Darvish when they don't need to. That's the whole thing. If you were a team and you absolutely needed a number one pitcher, if you getting a number one pitcher was just absolutely going to put you over the top, then maybe you consider it with Yu Darvish. But they're not. They're not that team. They don't need that. They don't need that. All they need is a guy like a Lance Lynn or a Cobb who gets you consistently 10 to 12, 13 wins a season. They need another guy like that. And if they can get that, they can be in the playoffs. They can be a playoff team. And again, I think that they save money. They put themselves in a better situation going forward. If they save the money, they don't go for Darvish, sign Darvish, and they go for one of those other guys. I think it just makes more sense for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, and before I wrap this up for everyone, just breaking news as we're recording this, guess who the Giants signed to a 2-year, $6 million deal? Center fielder Austin Jackson is now going to be a San Francisco Giant. So just a little breaking news. You guys probably know this well before this comes out, but this is around the time we're recording it. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below about the Brewers offering at Yu Darvish. Is he worth the Brewers' money? Should the Brewers be offering at Yu Darvish? Should they be looking at somebody else? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section.